I think it's gone black on my screen as well. But we'll come back to that lap, I'm sure. We'll get Sean McClements flying around there. He actually poked his head into the commentary box before he was, I would say, dragged into the briefing room. I got about 4 minutes to speak to him, and he did tell me, sort of reaffirmed my assumptions that it's going to be tricky to overtake out here today. So that's why qualifying is going to be oh so important. Get yourself high up the
Now,
order.
I am just going to say my knowledge of Thruxton is not the best, but that lap guide looked absolutely nothing like this circuit.
Is Sean McClements having us on, do you reckon?
I just want to say it looked nothing like this circuit, hence my initial confusion. There's a lot of nice fancy curbs around this track, and trust me, you have to use all of them. Dan Mould showed us all before the race in the Discord that you have to pretty much cut every corner in this circuit by a millimeter margin if you want to gain the time.
You do. And watching on now, Dylan McClements making his way now through in towards the final corner at Club. So easy to cut the corner there and invalidate and cause a slowdown, which is probably the worst place to get that. But McClements makes his way across the line and goes even quicker now. 1 minute 16.39. Extends his lead at the top, whereas Dara Halley moves up to this first row. Brandon McCaughon, well, quickly dethrones him there as now Keith Stewart goes to the top of the standings. Jordan Kelly had it very, very briefly with a 1 minute 16.2, but Keith Stewart gets a couple of hundredths of a second to get himself now onto that provisional pole. These times are moving faster than I can speak here, Evan, and I think that's clear to see and hear.
Yes, it is. Keith Stewart is top of the order, 116.2. Jordan Kelly the same. Then it's Dylan McClements in third and Brandon McCaughon in fourth. All top five in the 116s, but plenty of time still to go in the session. We're only 5 minutes in, so we have 10 minutes to go. We're looking at Brandon McCaughon here, heading in towards the right-hander, down towards the village and church sections of the circuit, and you can see the nice fancy painted curbs on the outside of the track. Brandon not using all of those as he's pulling over and letting Evan Walsh through to continue onto his lap. So you can see the track on your right hand side if you're as unfamiliar as I seem to be with the circuit. This is turn number one, this is the final corner heading into turn number one where Evan Walsh is. So let's run through a lap with Evan Walsh on board here and not whatever Sean McClements provided us with. So this is turn number one of Allard. You're sweeping through the right here and then getting heavy on the throttle all the way down towards Campbell of turn number two. Look at the brake boards at the left hand side, and just as you get to the 50, lift off and flick it in through here. Then use all of this curve on the left hand side. Yep, hop right over it. That's through Corbin in towards turn number four of Seagrave, and you can see Walsh is letting a little bit of traffic through, and this is all reminiscent of old Gantry TV, where just as we ride on board with someone, they abandon their lap time.
Yeah, definitely just trying to get some time. Look how many cars are passing through, though. 5 cars passing through past Evan Walsh there as he looks to tag onto the back of it now and see what he can do to get himself an improvement on his 8th place so far. 1 minute 16.67, good enough for 4th row on the grid. But as you can see, it's pretty congested in certain areas where everyone's trying to get the toe off of one another. This is one of those tracks you do not want to be the front of the queue on a qualifying lap because you're punching a lovely big hole in for everybody else to take advantage of.
Yes, you practically want no air really touching your car. You want the nice little bit of slipstream as Evan Walsh flicks it through the final chicane, and we just about complete our lap guide here. That's through the club chicane. So same as Silverstone. Jordan Kelly goes top of the times ahead of Sean McGoldrick in second. Wayne Douglas then in third. Keith Stewart in fourth with Dylan McClements in fifth. Ronan Doherty then in sixth. Robbie Callahan seventh. Then it is McCaughon, McClements and Walsh. Just looking down the order, and no time in just yet from Dan Mould. So we're waiting to see if he's going to jump towards the top. He did send a message into the Discord earlier, so unless there is some sort of connection issues for Dan, no, he just hasn't got a time on the board. So we're waiting to see one of the front runners in this championship still set a time.
Yeah, I wonder if he hasn't set a lap time yet because he's been setting times and sector times, but they haven't counted yet. So I wonder if it's because he's had off tracks, which means the lap time gets invalidated. It is one of those circuits where there's not many braking points and there's not many corners to worry about, but the corners that you do have to worry about are very easy to cut. It's very easy to get an off track around here if you're not careful. So perhaps here we'll see him running around putting a lap in, and we'll see what he can do from this point on.
Yes, 8 minutes down here in qualifying out of the 15. Jordan Kelly top, and he's not taken a race win so far this season, and he would quite like to, because even on seasons like last season, where he wasn't competitive at the front for the whole season due to different obligations, he still took 4 wins, so he'd like to get one on the board. Took 3 pole positions last season, hasn't taken one so far this season. Mangan and Mould have shared the spoils in terms of pole position so far in the Motorsport.ie RTA British Touring Car Championship. And we are riding aboard with Kelly as he heads past the start-finish line, and it's across the line for Jordan Kelly. No improvement on that last lap, but cracking lap from Sean McGoldrick in second. Took his best result of the season so far last week with a cracking 4th and 5th place finishes across 2 heats. And he's on form here. On the front row of the grid, ahead of drivers such as Douglas and Doherty, really performing out of his skin.
Yeah, if there's 2 words to sum up him that complement his livery, it's "oh yeah" at the moment, with front row at the moment, 1 minute 16 flat as he makes his way through now in towards club at the final corner. We'll see if he gets an improvement on the lap time. The sector times look okay. Whether he'll get an improvement or not is the other question. There's Ronan Doherty, who's currently 7th fastest in this qualifying session, as he'll make his way towards the back end of the lap in one of the Hyundais. If you're in the top 10 cars, 8 of them are Hyundais at the moment, with the other being Jordan Kelly right at the top of the top 10, and Evan Walsh in a Honda right at the bottom of it.
Yeah, we don't have Kevin fanboying over the Audi this week, which is quite disappointing, as it seems to be the most successful track. It is the oldest car on iRacing, of course. It does have the highest top speed, which probably explains why Jordan Kelly is top of the bunch compared to a whole world of Hyundais. Evan Walsh, who has been a representative of the Honda Civic, not able to break the top 10 just yet. Currently sits 11th with a 1:16.6, but it's very, very close within the top 10 so far. Qualifying as a whole is going to be a very deciding factor here, Kieran, because as we saw in our brief lap guide, it's not going to be easy to overtake.
Not at all. And, whilst there are certain areas of Thruxton which are quite wide, there's certain parts where it gets very narrow. I'm talking about, when we go through Village and Church, and even at Goodwood, you can get a little bit narrow there. But because it's such a lap you take at pretty much full throttle for 80% of the lap, it means fewer braking points, therefore fewer overtaking zones. And if you're in a bit of a battle, if you're in a bit of a slipstream fest, it can be even more tricky to make an overtake happen, especially when, you get a double or a triple toe, whatever you like. But it's still, without the heavy braking zones, without many of them around the circuit, yes, you can slipstream to your heart's content, but it's not going to be easy to make a move stick.
Yeah, and at circuits like Lime Rock, where we've been to in the past, in Formula V, and even other iRacing service circuits like Summer Point and stuff like that, you have that odd heavy braking zone, even when slipstream is reliable. Knock Hill as well is another example. We don't really have that around here, where you have that heavy braking point, your one overtaking opportunity to make that move. It's really going to be a race of attrition tonight. You don't want to make a mistake.
You do not, because if you make a mistake, you'll feel it for maybe a lap and a half, in essence, until you get to club again, which we are riding on board now with Wayne Douglas making his way through in towards club. That's you probably would say, the slowest part of this circuit, as Douglas makes his way over the line. Will he get an improvement, or was this to set up a lap? Probably the latter, to set up a lap here as we ride on board with him as we make our way through now past Allard and up towards Campbell here. We get onto the brakes here, slow the car down for the right-hander, as he'll now make his way through in towards Cobb, the left-hander. Again, take us plenty of curb there, and then we make our way through the right-hander of Seagrave. You need to make your way to the left-hand side before the entrance of Seagrave. Make sure you carry as much speed through there as possible, because you're full throttle now, all the way making your way through in towards Noble. And then on towards the right-hander of Goodwood, this long right-hander. The front left tyre will be screaming in agony at this point of the lap, considering you've just gone through so many high-speed corners. But then we make our way on through the slight left-hand or right-hander, I should say, of Village. It's pretty much flat through there. Then we make our way through in towards Church. You see how close Wayne Douglas gets to the grass on the outside and towards that tyre barrier on the right-hand side through the corner, and out of Church we go. It's then in towards this sweeping left-hander of Brooklands, where you can take it flat through there, and then you approach Club Corner, where you have to slow the car down whilst turning a corner, and you make your way through in towards Club. Try and straight line it as much as you possibly can, and Wayne Douglas then completes a lap. About a 1:16 from him that time around. Yes, a 1:16.071, so just slightly off of his personal best so far.
Yeah, Wayne Douglas, very competitive all season, but surprisingly, has not won a race yet. Got very close in Heat 2 in Brands Hatch when he was overtaken very late on by Ronan Doherty, but has not actually won a heat so far this season, and it goes to show how competitive it has been. It's been Mangan, Doherty and Mould who have won all three, and they will look to repeat tonight, but Jordan Kelly, Sean McGoldrick and Wayne Douglas are here to party, and they want to stay out in front. Here comes Doherty up towards the start finish line. He's got to get one more lap in, it seems, around this Thruxton circuit, and he's going to get a little bit of a slipstream from the car in front. A couple of green sectors across the board. Robbie Callaghan is looking to improve. Robbie, of course, at the last British debut circuit we had back at Cadwell Park in the Formula V's, was able to win heat number 3, so he'll be looking to try and do something tonight, and he does. He jumps up the order all the way up to 4th. Good lap from Peter McCann as well. He's able to jump and break into the top 10 in the dying embers, jumping ahead of Mealy, McCaughan and Walsh, who he will fancy his chances against this evening. Wayne Douglas, purple sector number 3, but he's only going to remain in 3rd spot. No, he doesn't, sorry. Jumps to the top as Jordan Kelly enters the pit lane. Kelly has been pipped for pole position by Douglas right at the death.
Right at the death, but let's have a look at Sean McGoldrick, who's really attacking those curbs, two-wheeling through the first part, but he has to abandon that lap time, otherwise it might have taken too much curb there, in fairness. Keith Stewart then goes 6th fastest in the session. Of course, once we reach 15 minutes, drivers don't get an opportunity to finish their lap. Once we hit 15 minutes, that is that. The session is over, so that's why you'll not see Keith Stewart press on for another lap. But as we head towards the closing stages, I'm not seeing anybody completing a lap so far. This could be a Wayne Douglas pole position.
It is. It's going to be his first pole position of the season, and it is the Hyundai that is on pole of Wayne Douglas. Fabulous lap time there by Wayne, and doing it in the very late stages of this one. He goes on top with a 1:15.9. Jordan Kelly in 2nd, and Sean McGoldrick in 3rd. Doherty 4th, Callaghan 5th, and it is Keith Stewart in 6th. Dan Mould starts 7th. Dylan and Sean McClements 8th and 9th. Peter McCann in 10th. Conor Mealy in 11th. Brandon McCaughan in 12th. Evan Walsh in 13th, Rory O'Shea and Dara Halley 14th and 15th. Then it's Kevin Joyce, David Prunty, Dermot Toomey, Dave Collier, Simon Hutchings ahead of Jacob Hobbs, Finley Melvin, Jamal Gandor, Tony Snack, Danny Dempsey, Phil Upson and Emma Dempsey, who did not get a time in. Kieran, one word of advice for these drivers here at Thruxton. Fire away.
Oh, don't lose the toe. You've got to make sure on the first lap, keep yourself out of trouble. It's going to be absolutely hectic. You're going to have 2, 3, 4 wide at some of the parts of this track. Make sure you keep your nose clean, keep out of trouble, and try not to lose the toe of the car ahead. That gives you your best chance for a good result.
That is well said, Kieran. I think it's advice that all these guys should pay attention to as we head to the racing action tonight. Well, look at that grid. They are all eager to go, especially Evan Walsh, who flashes the headlights. You can't even see all of them in the one camera shot due to the curved nature of the start-finish straight at this Thruxton circuit. It's very rare you get a debut race in a sim racing league, but we have one here tonight around the fabulous Thruxton circuit. Who can channel their inner Ash Sutton and maybe break the track record round here, maybe take a couple of wins? Will anyone channel the greatness of Kyle Ride and win around here, not on 2 wheels but on 4, as they go on to win the championship? 5 red lights for the first ever time here at Thruxton as we go racing here in Hampshire. Good race start from Jordan Kelly on the outside. He's got to look to try and take Wayne Douglas here in towards turn number 1 and 2. It's very crucial to make your moves early because there's not going to be many opportunities to do so here this evening. Jordan Kelly to the race lead. Wayne Douglas does have the inside, brakes a lot later. Jordan Kelly sells him a dream. It's the switchback. What a brilliant move from the man from Donegal. He's up into the race lead.
And that's exactly what Jordan Kelly needed. Wayne Douglas compromising himself through the first corner, but he already went 3 wide, and there's contact going through. That's Sean McGoldrick who's around. So too is Wayne Douglas into the wall, I think. 2 cars involved in that one at the very least. And the action still goes on, though. Ronan Doherty is trying to make his way through the field. He's currently in 5th place right now, but Jordan Kelly has got clear track ahead of him and clear track behind him as well. If there's any chance and any time he needs to absolutely bolt away, it's now. Robbie Callahan in 2nd place under pressure from Dan Mould as we make our way out of church.
Yes, Robbie Callahan, like a prime David Bowie, under a lot of pressure here from Dan Mould, and Dan Mould is going to try and go for the move. He knows circuits like this like the back of his hand, does Dan, a TCR expert, but Robbie Callahan has really been putting it up to the front runners so far this season, and Mould has made a mistake. Sean McClemens hot on the heels. What a first lap by Sean McClemens, up 5 positions. Mould is up 4 himself, to his credit. Biggest gainer in the field is young Jacob Hobbs, who's up 6 to 15th. Here comes Evan Walsh, sweeps around the outside of Brandon McCaughan in the Mondello Park car. He's able to get the move done, and Walsh will be looking to avoid any opening lap theatrics, which he couldn't avoid last week in Snetterton. He gets ahead of Brandon McCaughan, up to 10th position. Seems like turn 2 and 3 being a little bit more of an overtaking zone than we first expected.
Yeah, in these first couple of laps, it's all going to be about making your exit out of Seagrave. You'll be happy to compromise your entry and exit out of Cobb to make sure you really get the run through Seagrave that you need to make sure you're not a sitting duck making your way through the likes of Noble and on towards Goodwood here. But Dave Collier is under some pressure from David Prunty. Behind him as well is Simon Hutchings as they make their way through and out of Goodwood now. Look at this, 2 wide. Are we perhaps? Yes, we are certainly further ahead as Evan Walsh and Brandon McCaughan try and make their way through. Dara Halley round the outside of, I think that's Rory O'Shea, who he's trying to find and get side by side with as they make their way once again through in towards Brooklands. These laps absolutely fly past. There's only 10 minutes of action, but we'll certainly get some great laps here as Rory O'Shea. Oh, there's contact between O'Shea and Dara Halley as O'Shea is into the wall backwards there. He'll get a bit of damage to that right rear quarter. He'll rejoin onto the track, but how extensive is that damage going to be?
Yeah, that's a big crash for Rory O'Shea and a real opportunity. What could have been? He was in a nice place there, nice points paying place, and he has made contact with Dara Halley and been sent into the Armco. Evan Walsh gets ahead of Brandon McCaughan once again in towards Campbell and through Cobb and Seagraves. He'll be looking for the run. That's a mistake from Callahan, and he finally has succumbed to the pressure of Dan Mould, I should say, and he has lost the position to Sean McClemens as well. Has Robbie Callahan got a slowdown here? By the looks of it, he has. Didn't seem to run wide or pick up any damage or anything, but he has got a slowdown. And of course, if you lift off the throttle for a second here, you lose all your momentum, and that is going to drop you right down the order. He's now under pressure from the other McClemens, brother Dylan, but it's not for 3rd this time, it's for 5th.
There's another, is that a slowdown or is it a bit of a lappery? I think it might be Jamal Gandor there. Yes, it is. Jamal Gandor, who's just trying to keep himself out of trouble. He's already a lap down there, so he might have got caught up in something early on in this race. Nevertheless, we're watching on. Peter McCann having to defend from Keith Stewart then, as that's a look up the inside. Further behind, I think that was Conor Melia who fancied his chances through there. Didn't quite make it stick, though, as they make their way through. All this more contact behind. That's Dave Collier, who's facing the wrong way now. And it's almost, yeah, hold your brakes. It's almost like, what do I do as I'm rolling backwards through club here? And it's that, that's that horrible feeling of having to wait all that time to get some clear air there. And then, of course, in a front-wheel drive car, you can't just spin up the tyres and get yourself back going again. You have to do a 3, a 5, a 7-point turn, no matter what it is, to get yourself facing the right way again.
Yeah, I know we had a David Bowie mention. We had Dave Collier doing his best Michael Jackson through the final corner. Nice little moonwalk as he wasn't able to hold the brakes as Ronan Doherty all the way onto the grass. This is his own cousin and teammate he's fighting, by the way, not a championship rival. And he has to run all the way onto the grass to try and get past. He's going to look to dive down the inside for one of the corners, I would say, although still very early on in the season, so team orders not necessarily going to be in play. Keith Stewart looking to try and get past Peter McCann, and Chris Cash, leader of the Keith Stewart fan club in the Gantry TV chat, still not too happy with Keith's race starts. He's down 2 positions in this one, looking to regain lost ground by overtaking Peter McCann. He's going to lunge it right down the inside. That's one way to regain lost ground, and a nice move by the number 31. Stewart is back up to 7th.
Yeah, very nice move. You can keep that momentum up, he should be okay. But look at Peter McCann, who's right behind him, heading away through the first corner at Allard. Sean McClements then holding on to third place right now, but Ronan Doherty is chasing him all the way then as we'll head away up towards Campbell. Look how close he gets then. Does Ronan Doherty to the back of Sean McClements. Through Cobb we go then, and then you make your way towards Seagrave. This is a really important corner, and it looks like Ronan Doherty, he's got it absolutely spot on here. He's going to look for the move against Sean McClements. Sean McClements not getting a good run out of Seagrave, and there is Ronan Doherty. He'll have to hang it round the outside at Noble, but he'll make the way through, will he? Yes, he will, as Robbie Callahan will also follow him through after his slowdown penalty earlier on. So Ronan Doherty and Robbie Callahan making their way up the order, and Sean McClements rather losing 2 positions there, and that all happened because he didn't get a good run out of Cobb in towards Seagrave.
Yeah, exactly as you said, Kieran, if you don't get a good run out of that corner, or as we said earlier, if you lose your momentum by any margin, you just seem to fall a couple of places at a minimum. And McClements now ending up behind Doherty and behind Callahan. Callahan will be looking to charge on here and get back onto the podium placings as Sean McClements has cut the chicane, so his younger brother is going to find his way through here, and there is going to be a slowdown potentially for the number 5. That's disastrous, as Keith Stewart has now made his way back up to 6th place. He's got that one. He's got that one free. And Sean McClements may lose another 2 positions. Conor Melia boxed in here by McCann and McClements, but he's still going to try it round the outside of Peter McCann. He's got it done round the outside of Peter McCann. Neat little bit of driving by Conor Melia up to 8th.
Yeah, took his advantage, didn't he? Absolutely saw the opportunity and seized it with both hands. You don't need to ask him twice. Meanwhile, battle here for 2nd place as Ronan Doherty trying to go round the outside, which will become the inside line for Dan Mould as we make our way through. A bit of a slowdown could be involved in that one. But look at the gap to the leader. 4 seconds. Jordan Kelly with a clean air and no drag, slipstream to worry about happening behind him. No one to take advantage of it. He's able to just drive his own race. That's so important about breaking the toe here. Ronan Doherty 2nd, Dan Mould in 3rd, Robbie Callahan 4th, Dylan McClements in 5th, with Keith Stewart just about picking up some distant toe. But Dan Mould looking for a move then through in towards Club now. Does he get the inside line? No, not quite. But that might compromise his own run through here. He might sell himself up to Robbie Callahan if he's not careful. Instead, he gets a really good run through Club then and on towards Allard, but Allard's just a long sweeping right-hander. It's more like you have to have your wits about you through that first corner. It's not really a good overtaking opportunity, but I tell you what is Campbell as he looks around the outside.
Yes, Dan Mould putting the pressure on Ronan Doherty now. Jordan Kelly is gone with the wind up front, 4.8 seconds the race lead, but we won't worry about that now. We seem to be used to dominant wins here in the Motorsport.ie British Touring Car Championship, and what we're used to is fierce battles for 2nd. Dan Mould on the outside here, as look how close he gets to the door of Ronan Doherty. I know they say door-to-door racing is pretty standard around here, but this is very nervy for both drivers involved. They don't want to get wrapped up in a big incident and lose big championship points. Dan Mould still in the slipstream with Doherty here in 3rd, as they're going to be heading for one more trip round Thruxton. It's very close indeed.
It is, and it's so important as well. With this close quarter racing, you've got to have so much faith in your fellow competitors. As Dan Mould here looking to go side by side then with Ronan Doherty as we make our way through in towards Club now. And look at this, he'll sacrifice the first part to try and really power his way through the second part, and that is Jordan Kelly crossing the line to start what should be the final lap of heat number 1. Ronan Doherty in 2nd place. We're watching on with Conor Melia. He's under pressure there from Evan Walsh as we make our way through in towards the first corner, but more importantly is that Peter McCann has found a way back past Conor Melia then, and Melia now finding himself under pressure from Evan Walsh heading away up towards Campbell.
Yeah, Johnny Hollywood reminding us that Conor still has half a ton of water inside his race suit from his endeavours in Kyrgyzstan, but we'll leave that for a little bit later. There is Robbie Callahan getting past Dan Mould, meaning Dan Mould has had some sort of issue on this lap, and he's gone from the fight for the podium. Dylan McClements might fancy his chances here. Remember, Dan last week said he couldn't believe he was schooled by a 15-year-old. Well, it might just happen again here as Dylan McClements is going to look for the move in towards the final couple of corners. Will there be a lunge into the final chicane? He's tucked into the slipstream using all of the curb he can. It's in a familiar battle for 5th place. Is he going to lunge one down the inside? Not quite close enough just yet as Jordan Kelly rounds through the chicane to win the opener in his first race of the season at Thruxton. Doherty will get second. Is Dylan able to go for the lunge on Dan Mould? He isn't. Hasn't gone for it. Delta didn't get any closer, so he just backed off and he's going to take the points where he can. As look at this, Melia round. Oh, Melia, he's caught it very, very well through the chicane. Caught it very well indeed, but has lost 2 or 3 potential positions and will only finish 11th.
Yeah, crazy end to that one. But yeah, Conor Melia losing a couple of positions there. Meanwhile, then we just see Dermot Toomey getting ahead of Danny Dempsey as Jacob Hobbs makes his way across the line in P14 ahead of Simon Hutchings and Finlay Melvin across the line. But look at all of these gaps as well. It's so important to get the toe. Sean McGoldrick, after his early escapades, will get the move on Phillipson to get himself to at least P22. Not the first race he would have wanted. But even worse news for him is he'll have to start from P22. So it might not end up being a good day for Sean McGoldrick or Wayne Douglas either. Of course, we had those 2 incidents early on in this race, and for both of them, it's only going to be tougher from here to find their way through the battle. But Jordan Kelly, Evan, putting up his first win of the season.
Yeah, first win of the season, and in some fashion got the crucial move done at turn number 2 and was able to drive home. He takes the win. Ronan Doherty in second, Robbie Callaghan on the podium for the second time this season in third, Dan Mould fourth, Dylan McClements fifth, and Keith Stewart, Sean McClements, Peter McCann, Evan Walsh, Brandon McCaughan, Conor Melia, Dara Halley, Kevin Joyce, Jacob Hobbs, Simon Hutchings, and it is Finlay Melvin, Tony Stack, Dermot Toomey, Emma Dempsey. Great race from Emma, actually gaining quite a lot of positions in that one. Rory O'Shea then comes home in 20th after his tap into the wall. Then it's Sean McGoldrick, David Prunty, Dave Collier, Danny Dempsey, Phillipson, Wayne Douglas, and Jamal Gandor. We're almost ready to go again here in Thruxton. No rest for the wicked, and we had some wicked racing. That is very difficult to say in heat number 1 between all of the field, and I tell you what, it's racing that I didn't really expect. It was quite close given the nature of this circuit. Let's do it all again for 5 minutes longer, shall we? The red lights come on and we go racing here in Thruxton. Great race start once again from the outside. This time it's not Jordan Kelly, it's Ronan Doherty who's got a great race start, side by side through turn number 1, side by side in the background as well, McClements and Mould. So McClements is ahead of Mould, Ronan Doherty and Jordan Kelly, old foes, side by side down towards Campbell. Doherty breaks later, he'll sweep round the outside here. Will he be able to get the better exit on towards one of the back straights? That's the crucial thing Kieran was talking about. Melia's chucked out off the circuit, and it is going to be Ronan Doherty in the race lead. Crucially, once again, a big move made in the opening sector.
Indeed it was, as Dan Mould's trying to make his way through the order as well, further down the field. But we make our way through now in towards this right-hander here of Goodwood now, filing our way through. But yes, great start from Doherty there. Jordan Kelly, looks like there was just a moment of hesitation as one car's gone completely off the circuit there. That's Dara Halley, who's off the circuit onto the grass. And there's Dan Mould trying to find his way back through and trying to find a way past Dylan McClements. Very much door-to-door action as they made their way through in towards Church. And it's pretty much a drag race now through in towards Brooklands and up towards Club.
Yes, it is a drag race. Here comes Mould and McClements, and Dan Mould is gonna take this one. Evan Walsh just filing in behind, and Sean McClements, more big movers on that lap. Wayne Douglas being one of them, up 7, and there is Dermot Toomey dropping down the order here, it seems. Keith Stewart, I regret to inform, has lost the position on the race start once again, but he is battling with Sean McClements now and is just in front. McClements gets the squeeze on towards the grass. Brandon McCaughan, opportunistic as ever. Gonna look for the move on the brakes in towards turn number 2, but couldn't quite find it. Just a little bit boxed in there and wasn't able. Oh, Melia cuts the chicane. Gonna pick up a couple of X's for that one and potentially a slowdown, as you can see him letting Brandon McCaughan through. That was an interesting interpretation on track limits.
Yeah, it might be slightly uncontrolled. Easy for
the
me to
McCann
say.
line.
Yeah, the McCann line. Why don't we call it that? Ronan Doherty still leading the way, though, as that's Keith Stewart trying to still find that way past Sean McClements as they make their way now through in towards Goodwood. Tried the long way round, didn't quite do it. And once again, Dara Halley, that's the Dara Halley line around the outside there. He just cannot get off the grass in that situation. but twice in a row now, he will build a reputation. We'll rename that Goodwood to Halley Corner at this rate. Meanwhile, then Tony Stack, a little bit of a battle for 13th place as Finley Melvin taking a rally cross line as he's trying to find some space out there. It's so difficult to do. It's a high-speed circuit. You've just got to find your way out there as Wayne Douglas here trying to find a moves up the inside. But that's Dan Mould who's stranded on the mid part of Club Corner, and that is another car. That's the number 8, and there is carnage at the final corner. Then Finley Melvin, it was in the number 8, who was facing the wrong way. He was absolutely collected by 2 or 3 cars there.
That is the big one. Once again, let's have a look at the Ganju TV replay. We had a big incident in race 3 at Snetterton, race 3 at Donington. We haven't quite got there just yet. This is the battle for 3rd position. So this is for the podium. Dan Mould just breaks late, loses it all on his own. Robbie Callahan, absolutely nothing to do with that one. Bang into the wall. And I think that incident also had nothing to do with Dan Mould because we saw him from this point onwards. Let's have a look at Simon Hutchings. That's Dave Collier in front. Does Collier get a little bit out of shape?
It happens ahead.
He does, but it happens before these two as well. I'm not sure who that is parked across the circuit. Certainly, Sean McGoldrick goes into him. Oh, my goodness me. It's not often you see a TCR go airborne. He bounces in towards Dave Collier. And that is a big one. Did actually look a lot worse initially, but still a good few cars picking up significant damage.
Yeah, I wonder with Simon Hutchings how much time he actually had to react to that, because that looked like he just had nothing at all and no time at all to react to that. The amount of speed he was carrying through there. But Keith Stewart, meanwhile, looking to see if he can still find that way past Sean McClements, as we've got someone coming out of the pit lane that looks like Simon Hutchings in the number 37. It is, so a bit of lappery to do at this stage of the race. Still no way through so far for Keith Stewart. Meanwhile, further behind, we've got Peter McCann, who's trying to find a way past Brandon McCaughon as we make our way through in towards and out of Seagrave. Now back onto the power we go with Connor Media in 10th place, then Kevin Joyce in 11th. Jordan Kelly, though, is back up into the lead of this race, but Robbie Callahan is chasing him all the way.
He is indeed. Robbie Callahan with a great effort here, and Doherty has dropped to 3rd despite having the lead of the race, so not a great opening couple of phases in this one for Ronan Doherty. Jordan Kelly performing really well here, and there's only been one evening this week where a driver, or one evening this season where a driver has not won 2 races. It was Mangan in Brands Hatch, and it was Mould in Donington. Let's have a look here. So this is Ronan Doherty losing the race lead. Had a slow down for cutting a corner, so I assume it was the final chicane, and he lost 2 positions. Once again, as we said, once you lose your momentum, that's 2 places gone.
Yeah, and look at this then. That's Sean McClements and Keith Stewart battling through Allard. I said, really, this wasn't a battling opportunity. Well, that's proved me wrong as these two goes door to door. Keith Stewart gets the position for now, but Sean McClements, will he see that door stay open? No, he won't. Keith Stewart defends that line. That's allowing Dylan McClements to reel these two in as well, with Sean McClements trying to take a bit of a different line going through Cobb there to try and carry some more speed through there. But Dylan McClements has closed up now to the back of Sean as they'll make their way through in towards Noble and now on towards Goodwood. But there's your race leader in Jordan Kelly. Robbie Callahan in 2nd place. Ronan Doherty in 3rd. Top 3 have pretty much broken away. Evan Walsh in 4th, with Keith Stewart rounding off the top 5 at this stage.
Yeah, Keith Stewart rounding off the top 5 is up a position, so he has a net place gain in an RTA race. The Keith Stewart fan club is going to have a party tonight if this stays the way it is. That is Rory O'Shea, almost getting a taste of the Duff beer on the side, on the front of Sean McGoldrick's car as he got really close to him, heading in towards Church and Brooklands, and down towards the final chicane. Dylan McClements is just in front of this battle between Brandon McCaughon and Peter McCann, 8th and 9th, and that is McCaughon, who is going to get the spot. McCann all out of shape, and he is going to be under pressure from Conor Melia now. It almost looks like Peter McCann is like one of those ghost cars that you see on time trial in some games. Whatever way the sun is hitting it, it looks real funky. And fair play to whoever designed the livery on that one.
Yeah, it's almost like it's gone overboard with the chrome, hasn't it? Everything in the future is chrome, apparently, and the present, according to Peter McCann. But we see Dan Mould there. He's got himself another position up to P16 now, as he's looking to recover in this race after that earlier spin at the final corner. It just looked like he locked the rears, didn't he, through that final corner? And now he's looking to just try and recover as many positions as he can. Chances of a reverse grid pole are very slim, considering Rory O'Shea is 4 seconds back from Conor Melia, and that is a car he's going to have to pass if he wants to make that happen. I just love how close through Church the drivers get to that that tyre wall on the right-hand side. That is a race-ending tyre wall, by the way. There's no forgiveness in it, as drivers now make their way through in towards Brooklands and now towards the final corner at Club here as we make our way through. It's a corner where you have to slow the car down going while still turning, so it's a very tricky corner. It's very deceivingly easy, it looks, this circuit, but I can promise you it is so you've got to have your line right every single time, as Dan Mole then gets the inside line right through in towards the final chicane, and he's able to get back up into P15 and could have another one here. Tony Stack not getting the best run through the final chicane, and Dan Mole gets side by side. He gets the inside line through in towards Allard, and he gets that corner, gets the line, and moves up into P14.
Yes, Dan Mould trying to work his way back through, pull to the inside line, going to try defend this one, and Tony Stack is going to be able to get this one back. Is he? Mould will have the preferred line on exit, and yet Dan Mould is going to stay in front here, it seems. Tony Stack going to lose the position to Dave Collier, who tries to squeeze his way through, almost spins the Honda, and that is very, very well saved by Tony Stack, who's in the Audi. Sorry, apologies. It is David Prunty who's in the Honda. And he sneaks his way through, as does Dara Halley. So the battle for 14th no longer involving Dan Mould. And the battle for 15th, however, behind still rages on. But 9 minutes in, Jordan Kelly still your heat leader. Robbie Callahan in second, then it is Ronan Doherty in third. That final chicane is very traditional of a motorcycle circuit, I think, because it very much reminds me of Assen. It's a real tight chicane, and it is catching some of our drivers out here. Evan Walsh seemingly being one of them, so he's overtaken by Keith Stewart.
Yeah, it looks deceivingly easy, but it's so easy to cut the corner and get yourself a slowdown penalty, as so many drivers have found out tonight. Keith Stewart taking full advantage of that, as Evan Walsh now in 5th place, Sean McClements in 6th, and Dylan McClements in 7th, as we ride on board then with Evan Walsh, and we can pretty much see the tow in full effect here as we head our way through in towards the left-hander at Noble here. Again, it's up to you whether you take this curb or not. You probably do want to take it, and then we head our way through in towards Goodwood now, and a couple of different lines being taken here. You see Keith Stewart starts a little bit wider through the corner than Evan Walsh. Evan Walsh trying to get to the apex early and try and carry a bit more speed through there, but this is the one I love. Through in towards Church. Look how close these drivers get. It's just perilously close. One false move and it's all over through there. You lose the back end through there, which is difficult to do in these front-wheel drive cars, but nevertheless, you lose the back end through there. It's over. It's curtains.
Yes, and if you lose the back end, you will be heading onto some of the grass runoff we have of this circuit. There's not a lot of curbs, not a lot of asphalt, or not a lot of astroturf. You see it at some other tracks. This is a retro British racing circuit, and it's providing some retro racing here tonight. And what better than having two brothers duke it out, Dylan and Sean McClements, heading in towards turn number 2 and 3. It's very rare we see these two throw hammers at each other and have a real battle on circuit. They usually work together quite well, contrary to most sibling rivalries in motorsport. This could be interesting, though, because there's no one really around them. There's no further opportunities in this race initially. Could be a good battle.
Could be indeed. This is also going to be a good battle. Ronan Doherty trying to get up the inside of Robbie Callahan here as we head our way through in towards Church here again, side by side through there. They're both keeping it absolutely pinned here. Ronan Doherty's just about got a splitter ahead, but you see Callahan has the better momentum as we make our way up towards Club. But Ronan Doherty has the inside line initially as we make our way through in towards Club. Who's going to be later on the brakes as Callahan and Doherty go door to door through there, and Doherty runs off the track then. He might have a slowdown for that one. He might have to concede that position, and he will do. Robbie Callahan looking down the inside, and with Doherty with that slowdown penalty, he has to give that position back. But as soon as that's yielded, he'll be straight back on it to try and find his way past. Watch out as well for Wayne Douglas, who's managed to get up 17 positions in this race. Of course, an absolute disaster of a first race when he was involved in a first lap scuffle. He's only one position away from getting a reverse pole.
Yep, one more position for Douglas, and that is the reverse grid. And we saw how crucial that was for Dan Mould last week. He worked his way back up from a horrid position to get 8th and then dominated Heat 3 as he had that clear track in front of him. This is the view from Robbie Callaghan's infamous tricolour livery, the one he's become so associated with in his short tenure in RTA Virtual Motorsport. I say short tenure, it's been a good few months now that Robbie's been racing with us. Time flies when you're having fun, as they say. Ronan Doherty will well know what skills Robbie can produce. Of course, remember, last British track debut we had in Cadwell, these two went toe-to-toe for the race wins. And Ronan Doherty's got to go for the outside line this time. It's a different approach in through this chicane. And as he breaks for it, he'll be on the inside, but it's the same mistake from Ronan Doherty, and he's got to cut across both of them. Has he got to slow down for that one? Not too sure, but it looks like Robbie Callaghan's going to get ahead anyways. 2 minutes on the clock. Callaghan and Doherty still going toe-to-toe.
Brilliant stuff to watch. Brilliant to see them battling. But look what that's doing. It's bringing Keith Stewart into the fray here. He's in the same postcode as his battle now, as Ronan Doherty looking for a move up the inside then as we head our way through in towards Campbell. Now in towards Cobb we go. And this is where you can really put off your opponent here. You can now take the better line. If you take the inside line through towards Campbell, gives you an opportunity to give up the line through Cobb, but get the better run through Seagrave. That's what Doherty's trying here as we head our way through in towards Noble. Gets the inside line. This will become the outside line though as we head away through in towards Goodwood. Callaghan still hanging on to second place. Doherty's throwing everything. Not quite kitchen sink territory yet, but I don't think we're too far away.
No, we're not quite, or we're not too far away at all. Here comes Ronan Doherty tucked into the slipstream of Robbie Callaghan, and Keith Stewart is absolutely flying in this race, looking for his first RTA Virtual Motorsport podium. If Doherty keeps making mistakes like he is, it's not far away for Keith Stewart. Antrim man versus Antrim man. Keith Stewart almost looking to make it free abreast into the chicane. Who's going to break the later of the two? It is going to be Ronan Doherty, but he's slightly out of control. Just about hooks it up to get it through the final couple of corners. This is going to be a cracking battle on the final lap as Jordan Kelly, just like he did in heat number 1, runs away with it at the front. The real fight is between Callaghan, Doherty and Stewart for second position, and there's a little bit of space between the two of them. It wasn't quite the fast lap last time round for Keith Stewart. He was about 2 seconds quicker on the 11th or the 10th trip round this circuit. Was actually slower than Doherty on the last lap, but now has that slipstream. If something goes wrong for these three, Evan Walsh is like a shark in the water, just waiting to pounce. But it's not looking too good for Keith Stewart. If he wants to get past Ronan Doherty, he's going to have to do it into the braking zone of turn number 11. And although Doherty's muddled that up 2 or 3 times this race, it's still a very difficult place to make an overtake. Robbie Callaghan is just praying that he's got enough straight line speed in his Hyundai to outdrag the one behind it of Ronan Doherty. In for the right-hander and into the left, using all the curb on the left-hand side. There's one more big overtaking zone around this circuit, and we are oh so familiar with it. We've seen crashes, corner cuts, and battles. As Jordan Kelly flies through it now to take the race win. Here comes Ronan Doherty, late on the brakes. There's not going to be the glory for Stewart. It's going to be Callaghan second, and Doherty in third.
It's going to be a drag to the line, though, as Robbie Callaghan, can he just hold on to it? Yes, he can, by 2/100ths of a second there. He gets second place, Ronan Doherty in third place. Keith Stewart will have to wait for that podium, but he finishes in fourth place. As Evan Walsh in fifth place. What a great battle to take us to the checkered flag in our second heat of the day. As we just see here, Dave Collier make his way through in towards club for the final time. Wayne Douglas just misses out on the 8th place. He won't get that reverse grid pole, but 17 positions up in that race. He had a fine battle through the field.
Yes, but hasn't really reaped the fantastic award or reward of getting on the reverse grid. He'll still have to start 9th behind Kelly, Callaghan, Doherty and that lot, but really great battling in that one. Great racing incidents as well. We always like our little bit of drama here in RTA Virtual Motorsport, but really it's dominance for Jordan Kelly so far. It's going to be very interesting to speak to him and see what his thoughts are on having to come from 8th spot. But let's run you through the full results then. And it's going to be Jordan Kelly who is your race winner. Robbie Callaghan in second, then it is Ronan Doherty in third, Keith Stewart in fourth, Evan Walsh in fifth, Sean McClements in sixth, and it is Dylan McClements, Brandon McCollum, Wayne Douglas, Peter McCann, Sean McGoldrick, Rory O'Shea, Dan Mould, Dara Halley, Tony Stack, Dave Collier, David Prunty, and then it is Jacob Hobbs, Philip Upson and Emma Dempsey rounding out in 20th. And then just behind Emma we have Conor Mealy, Simon Hutchings Dermot Toomey, Danny Dempsey, Kevin Joyce, Finley Melvin, and Jamal Gandor. Let's hear from your race winner, Jordan Kelly, then. 2 wins so far tonight. Jordan, congratulations. Heat 1 win, Heat 2 win. Let's talk about Heat 1 first. It was a crucial move to get done in the opening couple of corners.
Yeah, I just seen Wayne just outbreak himself, so I was just get him on the switchback kind of, and then they had the accident behind. But I think the only thing that actually helped me in them races was the amount of slowdowns people were getting. I'll take it.
Yeah, it's a high-speed circuit where mistakes are badly punished. It's very unique. Talk us through how you're finding it out there.
It is. Last night in practice, I just downloaded. I had never driven this track in my life, but I could not get to grips with it. I was a second off most of the practice, but then I watched Dan's lap and obviously figured out a bit from him because he is the expert in these kind of cars. So I managed to just get all the time out of the Audi now. So, hopefully I can keep it that way.
Heat 3 then. You've been able to run away at the front fairly comfortably. This is going to be a little bit of a different challenge. How do you feel having to start from 8th?
If I can get a good start in Audi, I should be alright. I got a good start in the first race, but the second race I didn't. It's just a matter of getting the right traction off the line and stuff. So, I'll just try and get as much points as I can, but any wee contact with these can spin you around. So see how that goes.
Jordan, thank you very much for talking to us. All going well. We'll speak to you again later this evening.
Well, thanks, Evan.
And now the second place man, just holding on to it, Robbie Callahan with Kieran.
Robbie, welcome in. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think I'm spotting a pattern here. Race 1, third. Race 2, second. Could you get that illustrious first win of the season in this next one?
If they all crash into each other, yes. Other than that, probably not, because you can't overtake anywhere in this track.
Well, you were certainly trying to prove that with your great battle there towards especially the end of that race. Talk us through it from your point of view, because Ronan Doherty seemed like, twice through the chicane he might have had you, but twice he got a slowdown.
Yeah, so he was a bit faster than me, so I knew he'd catch me coming into the chicane. But if I just stayed around the outside and kind of like squeezed him a little bit, there's no way for him to get through without getting a slowdown, and I could just tuck back under him. So, yeah, the only real place to overtake is turn 2, I think, but then it's hard there as well because it's so narrow.
Yeah, I mean, for a track, it's certainly providing some great action for a debut. How is it going to be starting from 7th place? Because obviously you've just said it's difficult to overtake around here. What's your mentality going through?
Try and get a good start and get down the inside of as many people as possible in turn 2. It's kind of hard to start these things, so I don't know. The Audis seem to be really easy to start. They just fly off the line.
Well, you're a difficult car to miss, Robbie, with your tricolour, but we'll certainly be looking out for you, Robbie. Good luck in the last race, and hopefully all going well. We'll chat to you afterwards.
Thank you. See ya.
Thank you very much, Robbie. And back to you, Evan, for our third place driver in Ronan Doherty.
Yes, Ronan, you threw everything at Robbie in Heat 2 there, but just couldn't find a way past.
It was unfortunate going to the lead in the first lap, and then I got a slowdown, put me back to third, and then me, Jordan, and Robbie all kind of had similar pace then throughout. Robbie kind of messed up with 5 odd laps to go, and I said I kind of have to go for second to get points for the championship, because I think I might get a penalty for the first race. I'm not sure. And yeah, we had a great scrap, good clean hard racing, and Robbie came out on top in the end by 300s just on the line.
It's a very different, this circuit and these cars, compared to what you were driving at the weekend in a single-seater Formula Ford, isn't it?
Yeah, I only bought the track about an hour before the qualifying started, so I'm still kind of getting used to it, honestly. But I'm not far away now, and yeah, it's a lot of fun, and it's good for cars like this, a track which has plenty of slipstreaming and overtaking opportunities.
Ronan, we're going to let you get ready for heat number 3. Best of luck.
Cheers.
So that was Ronan Doherty, who came third, just losing out to Robbie Callahan. Can I just warn the viewers, 9 out of 10 times when he says, I only bought the track an hour ago, he does very well in heat number 3 because he's finally got up to his actual pace. Just a warning.
I mean, when 2/3 of the podium says, "I only bought this yesterday and I'm just getting used to it," it'll be scary to see what they can actually unlock once they're fully up to speed.
Yes, absolutely. Brandon McCaughan going to start on pole position ahead of Dylan McClements in second. Sean McClements in third, Evan Walsh in fourth. Keith Stewart starts fifth, and it is Ronan Doherty in sixth. Robbie Callahan seventh, Jordan Kelly eighth, and it is Douglas, McCann, McGoldrick, and O'Shea who starts in 12th. Dan Mould will start 13th, Dara Halley 14th, and it is Tony Stark, Dave Collier, David Prunty, Jacob Hobbs, Phil Upson, and Emma Dempsey who rounds out the top 20. Conor Melia will have a lot of work to do from 21st, and Simon Hutchings as well in 22nd after he took a trip into the front of one car in the final chicane in the last heat. Dermot Toomey starts 23rd, Danny Dempsey 24th, and it is Kevin Joyce and Finlay Melvin. It's not been a season full of luck for Kevin Joyce down in 25th. Jamal Gandor then will start in 27th. We're heading to the grid for the final time, Kieran. This should be a very interesting one as the lights are getting ready to go here. It's a 20-minute feature race on our final trip round this fabulous circuit as we go racing here in Thruxton. Does the team continue at the outside line, getting the best start? Yes, it does. Cracking launch for Dylan McClements, and his brother Sean is tucked up right behind Brandon McCaughan as well. Little bit of nudging between the first and second in this race. Dylan McClements looking to take it as they head in towards second and third. Sean McClements going to try follow his brother through as they're free abreast, and there goes Jordan Kelly skating into the wall. His bumper goes flying. It's a damaged TCR on the opening lap for Jordan Kelly. He had it all his own way. Dylan McClements, oh look at this, oh look at this, he's skating across the circuit like Bambi on ice, spins back in front of it. McCaughan went skating as well. Evan Walsh, the Tipperary-man, leads.
Oh, it's absolutely crazy here. I was going to say that Keith Stewart didn't get a great start. He was starting to fall down the order, but he's just gained 2 positions there with that bit of an incident heading away on towards Goodwood. But Evan Walsh leads the way from Brandon McCaughan in second place, Ronan Doherty in third, Sean McClements in fourth, and Wayne Douglas now trying to get his way into fourth, which he has done through the run in towards Churchton. Another spinner in the background. That is Keith Stewart, who's around, and him collected as well by Peter. I think that was Peter McCann, who had absolutely nowhere to go. And Keith Stewart, that front right suspension has absolutely collapsed and damaged as Evan Walsh makes his way through the final corner to lead after the first lap in what has been an absolutely crazy 3 and a bit miles.
Yes, McClements and Kelly all walking wounded. McCann and Stewart a lot more than that. That was a horrible incident to look at, even though these are virtual cars. Your mind takes a split second to convert to that, and it's just a big collision for those two, and they are out of this one. Let's have a look at a Gantry TV replay then and see what went on lap number 1. Jordan Kelly just went flying off here. Almost looked like he got hit from behind, but there's no one really near him. Did he just totally miss his brakes? Let's have a look. No, he was clipped. He was clipped. And that's Wayne Douglas who has clipped him in towards turn number 2. Wayne's going to get a fairly hefty penalty for that one, and he is a championship protagonist in this one. Oscar Mangan, who's not here tonight, is going to be licking his lips at the possibility of not losing too much points in the drop round. This was the incident between McClements and McCaughan. McCaughan just got into the side of McClements and almost sent him round, and Dylan McClements managed to save it and then got hit behind by his own brother. Not Sean's fault at all. Dylan just got chucked out in front of him, and it really was very unlucky for both the McClements brothers, who are down and almost out in this one. 19th and 20th after the first lap. Evan Walsh has survived the second lap in the lead of this race, and if all goes well for him, this would be his first RTA win in quite a long time.
Yeah, that first lap almost makes me think of trying to walk through a dark room with upturned plugs and Lego all over the floor. You're not quite sure where to put a foot, but if you put a foot wrong, you'll feel the brunt of it. Wayne Douglas making his way in towards second place. Robbie Callahan now up into third. And for a man who said overtaking is going to be difficult here, he's moved himself up into the podium positions now and on the back of Wayne Douglas. Now he's got to dispatch of this move quickly. If he wants a first win of the season, it's here for the taking, but he's got to find a way past Wayne Douglas, and he cannot fall out of the slipstream of Evan Walsh up ahead. ahead. Brandon McCochen and Ronan Doherty are battling away then as we make our way through in towards Goodwood, and then on our way through in towards Village then, as up the inside tries Ronan Doherty, tucks back into the slipstream of Brandon McCochen. Through in towards Church we go. That's Sean McGoldrick in 6th place, riding on board now with Dan Mould as we make our way onwards through in towards this left-hander of Brooklands here. We see that's Ronan Doherty looking for a move, trying to find any way past Brandon McCochen, as Sean McGoldrick looking to take a different line through in towards Club to try and take a better line and carry more speed on the exit. Will that work? Time will tell. But look at this battle then. Evan Walsh and Wayne Douglas side by side through in towards the first corner of Allard. Door to door they are, but Wayne Douglas has just about managed to creep himself ahead. Look at Robbie Callahan though. He's got a great run here. It's going to be 3 wide, heading away through in towards the likes of Campbell and Cobb. But everyone sorts themselves out. Wayne Douglas leads. Oh, Evan Walsh has to check up there, and it causes a bit of mayhem behind him. And Brandon McCochen will make his way round the outside to grab 2nd place. We are 4 wide. I predicted it. 4 wide very briefly on the exit of Seagrave.
Talladega. No, this is Thruxton. We're 4 wide out. Can you believe it? 2x2 they go. And Dan Mould sneaks up the inside of Robbie Callahan. It was a neat piece of driving to avoid Evan Walsh by Robbie, and he just managed to sneak through, but was still swallowed up with a momentum loss. Sean McGoldrick has spun round Evan Walsh, and Walsh, he's going to have to pull out all the stops here to try save this one. He's not done a bad job at it, actually.
He's done very well.
He's not done a bad job at all of that, to be honest. And he's come out in 9th. Might still pick up a slowdown or two, which would be quite unfair, given that he was hit off. But unfortunately, the game cannot determine that. It's now Doherty and McCochen side by side, and both of them have to cut the chicanes to avoid one another. Wayne Douglas leads by 2.3 seconds, and Dan Mould is going to dive to the inside here and try follow Brandon McCochen through. Mould versus Doherty, 2 championship rivals in this championship, are looking to battle it out here at Thruxton. Callahan still well within this one though, so don't count him out just yet. Door to door once again between Doherty and Dan. Mould looking to just try get the exit here, heading out of Seagrave at turn number 4. He has done. He's going to take 3rd.
Yeah, we've got, what's this now? 7 cars involved in this scrap for 2nd place, whilst Wayne Douglas is absolutely flying away, taking a leaf out of Jordan Kelly's book and just getting away. He's now nearly 3 seconds ahead, and this is just so important when you're not battling, when you're not tripping over another driver in a battle, when you're not giving the driver behind that lovely slipstream to help them keep up with you. You're able to just drive your own race and pull away because everyone else is so focused on each other. They're not working together. They wouldn't do it in a short race like this. But at the moment, McCochen in 2nd, Dan Mould in 3rd, Doherty 4th, Callahan in 5th, as he is closing on Doherty up ahead of him. Is it close enough to try and move in towards Club? Certainly for Rory O'Shea, he's looking to try and defend from Sean McGoldrick through towards Club we go. And as we make our way past the quarter mark of race time in this race, Douglas leads from McCochen and Mould in 3rd.
Johnny Hollywood makes a great point in our Gantry TV stream chat. I know it's not been long since Easter, but what miracle has Brandon McCochen done to stay up front in this race? He's 2nd. He was sideways on the grass like 4 or 5 minutes ago. How is he 2nd in this one? That is a miracle from Brandon, and he will try and keep a podium in this one. I don't think his microphone is working, he told everyone earlier, so we might be able to hear from him if he does finish in the podium in this, but this has really been something for Brandon. Unfortunately, Dylan McClements wasn't able to have the same fate. He's down in 17th now, with his brother Sean just 1 position in front of him in 16th. We're looking at Wayne Douglas, who is about to lap, dare I say, Jordan Kelly or Peter McCann, which is quite unfair on them to be lapped in this one, as they had torrid race starts. Here is McCochen under pressure from Dan Mould in towards the chicane, and Dan has taken no prisoners whatsoever. Sneaks his way past on the brakes. Even if McCochen wanted to close the door, Mould wasn't letting him.
Yeah, just a foot in the door there for Dan Mould. Wasn't letting Brandon McCochen shut the door and lock it as we make our way through in towards Allard. Now, Wayne Douglas has 3.5 seconds to try and close, or at least try and keep that gap to where it is. Dan Mould gets himself in 2nd place, but don't bet your bottom dollar that Brandon McCaughan wouldn't find a way back past. You got Ronan Doherty in the mix, Robbie Callahan, Rory O'Shea. They're all quick drivers in there. Sean McGoldrick, Dara Halley, who's rounding off the top 8 right now. And let's have a look at a replay, a Gantry TV replay of this is Tony Stack then, as in the Audi, he's making his way towards the final corner at Club. And I'm assuming he dropped a couple of positions in the standings. Let's see what happens. Oh, he lost the back end there. And yeah, had to find his way back around. And he couldn't quite do the tactic of if you lose the back end of a front wheel drive car, you can just absolutely pin the throttle and hope that you'll shift the momentum back towards facing the right way. Didn't quite work that time for him.
Yeah, just a bit too hot into the final corners, it seems, and Tony unfortunately taking a spin round. In this race, currently 14th, but is probably going to lose 2 places to the McClements brothers and maybe fight it out with Phil Upson for the final points paying positions. Here's Ronan Doherty right in the back of Brandon McCaughan, and they both die for the inside. A little bit of reactionary defending from Brandon McCaughan, but Doherty not going to find a way through. This is almost like NASCAR racing in TCR. Anything goes, it seems. Doherty to the outside, heading through turn number 2 and 3. This seems to be a fairly prize-paying move, but not on this occasion for Ronan Doherty. The outside line through Campbell has been quite successful for some drivers tonight, but not for the Dunloyman on this occasion. Robbie Callahan sat just right behind, and Robbie, despite having a little bit of misfortune early on, still in this one and still wants maybe a third podium of the night, actually.
Yeah, and looking to try and make good on it. Yeah, as you say, there's been a bit of drama, there's been a bit of contact and whatnot, and a little bit of back-end losery, but in the end, Callahan in 5th, McCaughan in 3rd. Considering what they've been through in this race, they've done a very, very good job keeping it all together as much as possible. Ronan Doherty, though, will try and find a way past Brandon McCaughan as we make our way through in towards Brooklands, and now sizing up the braking zone in towards Club. Then McCaughan brakes later. Can he stop it in time for the Club chicane? Yes, he can, and he'll make his way through there. Will Ronan Doherty now, who's prioritised the exit of this corner, find his way through? Meanwhile, then Sean McClements on Dave Collier, who's got no more front bumper anymore as he makes his way through in towards Club. Meanwhile, then McCaughan and Doherty still battling away for a final place on the podium in the 20-minute race, heading our way through in towards Campbell, Cobb and Seagrave. This is where you really have to be on the money here. You see Doherty's trying to prioritise the exit of Seagrave here, which he's got the better run now. Can he use that momentum? No, he can't, as McCaughan will cover that line, but they're both closing in now to Dan Mould up ahead of them. So I wonder if Dan Mould maybe had a slowdown at some point there, because look at this, Brandon McCaughan is reeling Dan Mould in, and then McCaughan can get himself back into that slipstream of Dan Mould. It'll do wonders in his help of a defence against Ronan Doherty.
Yeah, Brandon McCaughan last season stood on the podium 3 times. He stood on it once this season in the very first heat in the TCRs. He'd like to do it again and take a second podium of the season, but he's a lot of defensive work to do against Ronan Doherty, and Doherty tries to dummy him into the inside. Not going to work out. Brandon read that one like a book, and they are catching Dan Mould, and Dan lost about a second to Wayne Douglas at the front of this as well, so that would indicate that he did have some sort of slowdown or make some sort of mistake. Last lap time for Dan Mould, not actually registering on our timing screen, still saying he did a 16.2, but he definitely didn't, because there was no way Dan was 0.6 of a second quicker than Brandon McCaughan on that last lap. So it is Douglas, and then it is Mould, McCaughan, Doherty, Callahan, and then it is Rory O'Shea, Sean McGoldrick, Darren Halley, your top 8, with Evan Walsh and Jacob Hobbs 9th and 10th. Jacob Hobbs running very well. I have to say Danny Dempsey running very well as well, up 13 positions. He is on for a personal best RTA result.
Very good indeed. And, well, Brandon McCaughan's doing well defending against Ronan Doherty. Doherty, through that final chicane at Club, is trying to, make Brandon McCaughan commit to the inside line, so he has a compromised run through Club chicane and is left a little bit of a sitting duck as we head away towards Allard. A little bit of smoke in the air there. Wonder if someone just had a little bit of a moment going through there. Worry not for Ronan Doherty. He's closing on Brandon McCaughan as we make our way through in towards Brooklands once again, trying to see if McCaughan will get the inside line, and Doherty tries a little bit a different line. Look at the run, look at the speed he's able to take through the Club chicane. He's got so much more confidence going through there, but then nothing to do with it through in towards Allard as we're heading towards 7 and a bit minutes to go, 6 and a bit if you're picky, and Doherty still trying to find that way past as McCawhan shimmies this way and that to keep Doherty behind, heading our way through and towards Campbell. Once again, you see through Cobb, this is where Doherty will prioritise the exit of Seagrave to get the power down earlier, try and get a little bit better momentum and better run out of the corner. And look at this, he's got the inside line, he's unlocked it then as we head our way through in towards Noah. It becomes the outside line that will favour McCawhan briefly, but if Doherty can stick it there, he'll get the inside line through in towards Brooklands. He does stick it there, and Doherty moves himself up into 3rd place. He's been trying to get that move to work for the past couple of laps, but when it did work, it really unlocked how well Doherty was able to get away there. Up into 3rd place he goes.
Yeah, brilliant racing from Ronan Doherty. Really showed his racing expertise, his sim racing expertise all in one move, and very clean, very concise, very good from Ronan Doherty. He's up to 3rd place now. Wayne Douglas leads by 4.7 seconds. Dan Mould is next on the hit list of Ronan Doherty in 3rd. McCawhan then down to 4th, but Callahan not too close right behind him. The fastest laps of this race are being pumped in by Jordan Kelly, but he's down in 20th place and 56 seconds off Dermot Toomey, so it's not where Jordan Kelly wants to be. Rory O'Shea getting past Robbie Callahan, so Robbie has had a slowdown or made a mistake or something. And for the first sector, Rory O'Shea, I have to say, a good recovery since his earlier incident in heat number 1. He's up 7 positions here in heat number 3 specifically, but a net gain overall tonight.
Yeah, Danny Dempsey, meanwhile, 11th place, up 13 places from where he started. He's had a brilliant race in race number 3 to draw a close on tonight. And there he is, Danny Dempsey, just outside of the top 10. He's trying to chase down Jacob Hobbs at this stage in the race. They're pretty much lapping similar lap times at this point. About 3 or 4 tens in there at the moment, but worth keeping an eye on that one, see what happens. Worth also keeping an eye on a battle for a place in the top 5. Rory O'Shea under immense pressure from Robbie Callahan and Sean McGoldrick, for that matter, right behind him as they make their way to the closing stages of the lap. Then we're right on board with Sean McGoldrick watching on this battle. He sees a gap up the inside of Robbie Callahan, but it closes, and Sean McGoldrick has to react appropriately through in towards that chicane they go. Brandon McCawhan has lost a lot of time on the last lap or so. He's 2 seconds away now from Ronan Doherty, and now from what was a battle for 3rd place where he was trying to defend, he's trying now to defend a place for 4th as we ride on board with Robbie Callahan heading away up towards Campbell. Once again, he's looking for a move up the inside. No way through this time.
No way through as we ride on board with Robbie Callahan. Danny Dempsey, really impressive in 11th position, and Danny, who has not had too much success in RTA, has had a lot of success lately in the karting world. We mentioned Dylan McClemens' age for, well, the last year and a half. I suppose it's only fair to mention that Danny is even younger by a good few years, and of course, growing up in a motorsport family, really learning his craft here on the simulator. He's under pressure from Conor Melia, but we jump back to our battle between Rory O'Shea and Robbie Callahan, two almost household names here on RTA. I know I said Robbie's only been with us for quite some time, but he's been with us for a good few seasons now. And Rory O'Shea, of course, a multi-time champion in RTA Virtual Motorsport. Here comes Callahan, looking to try and get past the Hyundai in front of him, and Rory O'Shea is all over the chicane there, and now Robbie Callahan is going to look to try and make the move, has the inside line, heading through turn number 1. It's not been preferred for most, it's preferred from Kildare man. Callahan is up, is ahead, and Sean McGoldrick is able to sweep through as well. A nice little bonus for Sean.
Very nice indeed. That's exactly what he needed. See if he can just get some momentum towards the end of this race. Top 4 still on for Sean McGoldrick. If he wants it, he's going to have to work through the order, though. Meanwhile, Conor Melia and Sean McClements are battling away 4 positions. That's Jacob Hobbs right up ahead of them, both as they're looking to try and get their way through. And almost Sean McClements just rather muscles his way through there as Jacob Hobbs defends how he was attacked, really. But he's going to compromise his own line there through in towards Seagrave. He will be a sitting duck now as we head our way through in towards Noble. Both Melia and McClements make their way through as Dempsey then, sorry, that is Dempsey, not Hobbs, falls to P13 then. But yeah, Danny Dempsey rather giving back what he received there.
Yeah, absolutely, and showing the top dogs he's not going to be muscled past done well, done very well there. Got onto the grass and I managed to get back onto the asphalt fairly quickly. Not a bad job by young Danny Dempsey at all. Our youth prodigy is right behind him, though, in the form of Dylan McClements. And Dylan might be able to find an easier way past than Sean and Connor did. But Sean, looking to try and get down the inside, has done, is ahead of Connor Melia, and Connor running very wide. Almost looked like a little bit of a let-through there. But 11 and 12 is not where McClements and Melia want to run. They're just picking up the scraps here.
Indeed, they are, and I'm sure we'll have good eyes on that one as we rejoin our battle for fourth place. McCaughon, Callahan, McGoldrick, and O'Shea all locked horns in a battle for fourth place. As there is Robbie Callahan, just looking to see if he can find any way past Rory O'Shea. We ride on board with, heading our way through in towards Goodwood, and then towards Village we will go before the very fast right-hander of Church. And as a driver, you're just sort of thinking, where is the opportunity? Where's the gap that I have to find? And around a high-speed circuit, you do not want to pick the wrong option. We've seen plenty of times drivers just pick the wrong option, and even in a straight line, it go wrong. But Robbie Callahan having to defend from the likes of Sean McGoldrick behind, but now he's focusing on attack against Brandon McCaughon through in towards Club. He's going to compromise his middle run through in towards Club. That's an opportunity. That's an invitation for Sean McGoldrick if he didn't have to check up from Robbie Callahan. But that's the warning signs as I believe, in all the madness, Wayne Douglas is on the final lap.
And Robbie did very well there to survive that as this contact made, and Jacob Hobbs has nowhere to go. There's cars outside, inside, all around. Jacob Hobbs and Danny Dempsey door to door with Dylan McClements. Don't push him into the wall, Danny. He doesn't. Oh, it was very reminiscent of Rubens Barrichello and Michael Schumacher there. And that got very close at the pit wall. Danny Dempsey just about staying in front of Conor Melia and Dylan McClements as Wayne Douglas is going to round through the final corner. As he said at the top of the broadcast, he'll be looking to end his winless run in this Motorsport.ie RTA British Touring Car Championship. He is going to end his winless run with a performance here, with a dominant performance, I should say, here in Thruxton. Might be under investigation for that lap 1 incident with Jordan Kelly, but he'll still be credited with the win as he heads in towards the final corners at the club chicane. 10, 11 and 12, no slowdown dramas. Wayne Douglas will be crowned a feature race winner for the first time in the TCRs here in RTA. Dan Mould will come home in second and Ronan Doherty in third. A star-studded podium. Brandon McCaughon is going to lead home Robbie Callahan for fourth and fifth. Sean McGoldrick in sixth. Great recovery from Sean from the back of the grid. And it's going to be Dara Halley who comes home in eighth behind Rory O'Shea. Usually Dara doesn't convert his quali pace into the long races, but he's done so tonight.
Yeah, and also create his own line at Goodwood in the first race there. But Conor Melia trying to hang on to the position, but he doesn't get a good run through Club. And this is going to be a drag race to the line. Who gets the P12? It's going to be Conor Melia by a 10th and a half ahead of Dylan McClements. As Danny Dempsey there in 14th place. Dave Collier, the weight saving on the front bumper hasn't quite worked. He will finish P16 with Jamal Gandor in 17th place. And now we have Jamal Gandor and Dermot Toomey making their way through Club. Jamal Gandor 17th, Dermot Toomey 18th, and Phil Upson will be the last to finish on the lead lap, finishing in P19.
Yeah, P19 for Phil Upson, Jordan Kelly in 20th, Simon Hutchings in 21st, and Peter McCann in 22nd. Look, it's not going to be a heat free to remember for Kelly or McCann. But that, unfortunately, is the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. Let's run you through your full results before a few interviews. Wayne Douglas, your race winner. Dan Mould in second. Then it is Ronan Doherty in third. Brandon McCaughon in fourth. Robbie Callahan in fifth. Sean McGoldrick in sixth. Rory O'Shea in seventh. Then it is Dara Halley in eighth. Evan Walsh in ninth. Sean McClements in 10th. Conor Melia in 11th. Then it is Tony Stack in 12th. Dave Collier in 13th. Jamal Gandor in 14th. Dermot Toomey 15th, Phillips in 16th, and Jacob Hobbs in 17th, Dylan McClements in 18th, Danny Dempsey 19th, and Jordan Kelly rounds out the top 20. 21st for Hutchings, 22nd for McCann, 23rd for Melvin, and it is Prunty, Emma Dempsey, Keith Stewart, and Kevin Joyce who round out the order. An interesting heat free tonight, and a win for Wayne Douglas. I don't think we're going to get to hear from Wayne, but let's hear from the second place man, Dan Mould. Dan, congratulations, second place tonight. Not quite the win as last week, but another good fight back performance from you after some early drama.
Yeah, I needed that. I had a mare race 1 and race 2. I had my wheel set at 900 for race 1 and race 2, and I used 720. And then I had a moth decided to come through into the garage and bouncing on my screen, so that was quite off-putting. But yeah, it is what it is. These guys are tough to race against. It's tough. It really is tough. As you probably saw, got a little bit squiggly into the chicane, and then next thing you know, you're in the barrier, and then it's just a recovery drive all night. But I enjoyed it. I'm sweating. Congratulations to Wayne. Congratulations on is it Ronan who won race 1 and 2? Am I right? I'm not sure.
It was Jordan.
Jordan, congratulations to the winners. Epic drive. It's a tough track. This is it's full throttle more or less all the way around, and when you're going 2 and 3 together, it's hard. It really is, because the car is, it's just propelling, over the tarmac, and it's hard to control. And if someone gets close to you, if you brake slightly, you tend to lose the back end if you're running a loose bias like myself. But yeah, again, enjoyed it. Really good. Not what I wanted, but I'll take it.
Another steady evening points-wise, and there was drama for others as well tonight. So championship-wise, still in a relatively strong position.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I did. I'm not gonna lie. I come into this race thinking that I would get at least 2 wins. That's what I wanted. But again, underestimate the quality of the drivers on the field. So let's see what next week brings.
Next week, of course, it's another track that you will probably be familiar with, being our local TCR expert. It's Alton Park. Is it one you like?
Yeah, as I said before, it's my local track. It's about 40 minutes away. I love Alton Park, but it's another track that's quite narrow and quite tight to race on, especially with drivers like in RTA who can actually race, and just know where to put the vehicle into each corner. So I expect another tough night, but again, that's something that I'll look forward to. But I think I'm going to put a few more laps down this week. I've been struggling with my shoulder, so I've kind of stayed off until Mondays, but getting a little bit better now. So yeah, I'm going to try and get some laps in at Alton, so I can start off, hopefully with a top 3, or even a win if possible.
Dan, thank you very much for joining us as always, and congratulations once again tonight.
Thanks you. Bye bye.
And then it's going to be our third place man, Ronan Doherty, with Kieran.
Ronan, I think that makes it 8 podiums for you so far this season. There was some tough racing out there, but I mean, how was it from your point of view?
Yeah, it was good fun. Once again, I mean, I got a monster start. I think I went from 6th to 3rd, and I was right in the back of the front too. And then I got another lap 1 slowdown, and the lap 1 slowdowns take longer to clear and stuff. So it put me back to 7th with a lot of work to do. But yeah, I managed to get back up into 3rd, and it just took so long to get past Brandon that Wayne just got away for an easy enough win. But no, it was good, clean racing all round, and well done to Wayne and Jordan in the wins tonight.
But when you didn't get past Brandon McCaughan, it was a well-executed, almost pre-planned move in towards Seagrave. Is that something you were planning? Just sacrifice a couple of exits to actually go for Seagrave, because that looked like it. You're full throttle all the way through there, pretty much up until you get back towards club.
Yeah, to be fair to Brandon, he was defending quite well, stopping it in the apex and stuff. So I was just sort of going into his rear bumper, but yeah, that time just managed to get the traction and get alongside before he could move over and block me. So he just made a little mistake, and it allowed me to pounce and get the position. It was so frustrating because I'd been trying for 3 or 4 laps. Then Dan got past me and instantly made his first move on Brandon's stick. So yeah, but no, it was great defending by Brandon, and a nice clean battle.
In terms of obviously overtaking opportunities are few and far between, and you look like you're just in close quarters all night tonight. I mean, that's got to go down as one of the most intense races of the season, hasn't it?
Yeah, it was a great race, and to be honest, I'm really happy with 3 podiums. Like I said, I should have bought the track in practice last night, but I didn't. It's a bit more fun when you're trying to trying to catch up to everyone else. And I think by the end of the night, my pace hour was really good. So I'm happy with the 3 podiums, and yeah.
Alton Park next week. Then are you going to buy it the night before or the night of again?
Well, Alton Park is free on iRacing, to be
Oh,
fair,
okay.
Kieran. So
Yeah. But to be fair, Ronan,
Oh,
it's a case
call him
of
out, Ronan.
I know, but Ronan's the kind of guy who would see something for free and still have to buy it the night before.
yeah, I mean that
That's what-
would be an interesting purchase on my behalf if I bought Alton Park and iRacing. But no, I know Alton well, and that's going to be all about qualifying and stuff, and we'll see what way the Veloster works tonight. It was a little bit. It's been a fantastic car throughout the season, especially in the slow speed stuff, and you just seen tonight the longer wheelbases of the Audi and the Elantra really do well around here tonight. So it's going to be interesting with Alton as a mix of high speed, low speed, plenty of curves you're going to have to get up over as well. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the cars play out as well.
Will be indeed. Ronan, congratulations on your 3 podiums tonight. Takes you up to 8 for the season, and look forward to seeing what you can do at Alton Park next week.
Cheers, fellas.
Thank you very much, Ronan. And well, Evan, it brings it back to.
That's the first time he's ever said fellas, by the way.
Oh, I feel
That's right.
honoured.
Yeah, that was yeah. We'll glass half full. We're honoured. He didn't say keep it country or tank the sponsor that I'm not going to name before Ronan kills me. Now, important matters. Driver of the day. We had a couple of votes in the chat. One for Robbie Callahan. He's my pick as well because he narrowly missed out last week.
Yeah, Robbie, 2 podiums today and was involved in that intense battle towards the end of that third race. It's a very, very good shout, actually. I probably may have gone, honourable mention to Wayne Douglas. I think had he not made contact with Jordan Kelly on the first lap of the race, I'd have been up there with him because he had a tough first race and he managed to battle his way back through to taking first place on the road, considering he missed out on that reverse grid pole as well. It's just that instant with Jordan Kelly that pins it back for me. So I'm happy to give it to Robbie Callahan this time around.
Robbie Callahan, I think, is our driver of the day for tonight. Well earned for Robbie. He missed out narrowly last week, and he's earned it tonight, I think. So, Robbie, congratulations, Gantry TV driver of the day, and that's about all we have time for here tonight. Excellent evening of racing. Kieran, any final thoughts from yourself?
Well, it's just so intense, wasn't it? It's pretty much the closest you could get to, as you said, Talladega oval racing in the UK. It certainly delivered, and as a debut for a track in RTA, it certainly will be living long in the memory, and I can't wait to come back here in the near future.
Thank you very much, folks, for tuning in tonight. Join us next week, 6th of May, at Alton Park, where we head to Dan Moulds local circuit, not quite Kieran's at Brands Hatch, but we'll have a fabulous evening of racing once again. A big thanks to all of you for watching and tuning in. Please check out our sponsors, Motorsport.ie, of course, as well as checking out our website, RTA virtualmotorsport.com. And thank you very much for your continued support. A big thanks to Ronan Hederman, as always, behind the scenes, and for Kieran for joining me tonight in the commentary booth. Stay safe, stay well, and we shall see you next time. Slán go fóill.